Okay.
When I was a kid, I was very shy.
I was quite lonely because I was so shy, and I never really learned to basically when
This
people are shy, people sort of delude themselves into thinking that you're a nice guy. Basically, this is a story about not being a very nice guy. Basically, when I was a teenager, I was quite bored, and I sort of tried to be quite a rebellious kind of guy who quite a lot of kids. As a kid, I was scared. I wanted so much to be a rebel for people to say ghosts. Mainly being on my own,
and basically. I deluded myself into thinking I was underground and cool, you know. People really did find me quite
people treated me all
hard to take seriously. Stuff like I kind of grew my hair really long, lots of black torn t-shirts and stuff. And I didn't wash my hair for 6 months. That's how cool that is. Anyway. Basically, obviously people took the piss. I don't bloody blame basically, right. The thing is, it was, people in the village wouldn't be nice to me because, I didn't really have a job, I didn't really, couldn't afford to go out properly, so me and my friends used to just hang around in the village, which is, it's quite a common story, really. And, we'll have a laugh, it'll be okay. Shit. Village, everyone I grew up in. Just wasn't really what much to do. So basically, there was a kid who lived in my village, and he would just shout really nasty stuff at me. Why don't you just kill yourself when I walked past his house and stuff? Obviously I couldn't really see the funny side of it. I didn't really see, it wasn't a very nice thing to say. Anyway, stuff like after a bit, basically I didn't like this guy very much. So me and my friends, one day I was walking past his house and he was like saying this shit to me, and in the world. We thought, no, sorry, it was nothing to do with anybody else. I thought it would be funny to literally dig up signs in the village and throw it into his house where he lived. Because obviously his parents' house. I just thought it was funny, you know. And basically he he took offence to this. Wow. How could you take offence to that? And he basically stopped me on the street one day and beat the shit out of me. Jesus, what the fuck you doing? So I found this quite upsetting. I think he hadn't been very nice to me. And so I was quite pissed anyway. So I went up to his mum's house and I knocked on the door, and I was in a state, and I was just like, your son's been no, we should have some for months. This is some of the stuff he says to me. And she was like, oh dear, oh no, oh I'm really sorry. And basically they arranged this kind of apology thing. Like he came around to my parents' house, because obviously, living at my parents' house. And he brought his dad over, and he was there to apologise or something. And I felt alright, but it was just, it wasn't really adequate. You know what I mean? Like you don't, if you want to apologise to someone, you don't sit there. I don't think you're not like have your dad come around and go, right, I'm sorry about the way my son has behaved, and he will now pretend to be very sorry. It's insincere.
I didn't like it.
about trying to make this place better.
And you know, my relationship with my parents was very strange one, really. I mean, like I didn't
basically my
I
mate
didn't really feel that they really knew the kind of stuff I was going through. So, like any teenager, really. And basically, I didn't like this guy. There was no resolution for me, and I used to just say I wanted him to die. I hated him. I wanted him dead. So there was this one night when I went out to this sort of leaving thing to a friend who was going some kind of world tour or something, lucky bastard, and I basically just said, yeah, I still don't like the guy and I want him to die. If he died, I wouldn't give a fuck. I'd probably laugh and say stuff like that. I really meant it. I hated this guy. I wanted him dead.
A relatively young age.
I didn't do anything, obviously. You know, I wasn't even big enough to like give him a punch. I wasn't even popular enough to know anybody that could give him. And basically, I've been saying this.
She's always been a really
next morning now.
I
wake up. And my mum brought me a cup of tea, like she always did, you know, that was my life back then. And she said, you'll never guess what happened in the local pub last night. And I was like, what?
I just thought it would be a positive thing.
There was a wake.
So I move on.
Someone in the village who's died. That kid who beat you up, or he's dead.
You know, my mum's amazing.
He died a couple of days before. Fucking hell! I mean, like, what are the odds? So basically, I was like, oh, that's a shame. Oh gosh, oh how terrible. And but genuinely, I think I really didn't care. I was actually, I didn't go back on my word. Basically, I stuck with what I said. I was glad with it. You know, I didn't tell my friends this until later on. I was like, oh come on, he was a shit.
She hadn't told.
I'm pleased that the motherfucker's dead.
To lose himself in thinking.
And I stuck with it. People, of course, I feel really sorry now. Oh, that poor guy. You can't just die at that age, can you? I mean, like, there's so much life ahead of it.
And basically,
I guess the conclusion to the story is that I damaged my people's perceptions of my identity, which.
They don't.
Of course, on reflection back then, I was a very immature kid, and basically, I mean, like he wasn't very nice to me, and that's why I wasn't very nice to him. I think
how I feel about it.
The way I behaved, it couldn't be helped because she obviously doesn't. I wasn't. Things like I'd see his mum on the bus, and I wouldn't say anything to her.
I mean, like I think.
And now I look back and I think I really wish I'd been
here. I was organising
a bit less.
He
was horrible to me.
I find. You know, what about her getting people to stand in?
His son's dead. You know, I could have at least sort of like
fear of death.
You're okay.
I'm starting to realise maybe I'm scared of it again. I've always felt on my partners.
Another bus-related thing. I think I was one of the last people to see him alive.
He just scared.
He apparently went into his house and just turned blue. He just died.
I am renowned for being quite a paranoid person.
No one knows why. Weird, isn't it? Anyway,
as a child, I knew people that were sort of.
I just feel terrible about it now.
Brainwashed by
I think it's a shame when religious cults and things like that. Person snuffs it really.
So I've always had this kind of strange thing against.
They are a bit
underground societies, you know.